That's that.
Welcome. Welcome to a world where savoir-vivre meets savoir-faire, where roots of the past give wings to the future. Take part in innovation and share our unique art of living. Set up a rendezvous with history with a capital H.
In spite of my long specialized studies and my travels all around the world, I never forgot my French roots. The culture and the arts, the landscape, the architecture, the gastronomy, the huge discussions and the ideas. Everything that allows France, in spite of all its difficulties, to continue to make the world dream and to attract artists, idealists and researchers.
So if you want to have a career and have a family, then France is one of the best countries to be in.
Beyond scientific issues, my foreign colleagues like discussing French culture, French history, regional wealth. Being French is a definite asset.
I love living in Paris, but the reason I chose to work in France is the quality of life here. The excellent schools, the healthcare system, and access to daycare.
And when French art of living is put in the service of research, the outcome is talent. Nearly 260,000 researchers work in France. They are the successors of big names in French research. Louis Pasteur, Pierre and Marie Curie, Jacques Monod, Georges Charpak, Pierre-Gilles de Gennes, Maurice Allais, Luc Montagnier, Françoise Barré-Sinoussi. These names have crossed borders and spearheaded progress across the world. Literature, economics, medicine, physics. France, a country of excellence, holds 61 Nobel Prizes.
France has a long tradition of excellence in blue sky research in all fields of hard sciences, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, but also in humanities like archaeology, history, sociology. And this is this mixture between hard science and cultural activities which explains the attractiveness of Paris and France for research for scientists coming from all over the world.
France values its past, cultivates the present, and forges the future. For France knows that, more than ever in the course of history, scientific stakes require rising to the challenge of building research infrastructures that are at the cutting edge of scientific and technological knowledge. 73 universities, 275 doctoral schools, 3,200 research units, CNRS, INSERM, CEA, INRA, INRIA, but also 5 national research alliances and 25 academic and scientific clusters. For France unites its forces and its knowledge for higher efficiency and performance, for broader reach across the world. These tools are all conditions for future discoveries. France and its infrastructures take on ambitious projects.
There is a definite acknowledgement of researchers in France. At IFP Énergie Nouvelle, I have the opportunity to coordinate a European project, a project that gathers researchers, industrial and public authorities. This is really a great experience.
France dares to invite you to a rendezvous with innovation in all disciplines. The environment, space of course, but also health. And today, as always, France continues to advance. In mini-invasive surgery, for instance, with the Mixed Surge project in Strasbourg. And heart surgery with Lyric, a research center unique in Europe. France is one of the most digitalized countries on the planet. It has state-of-the-art digital technology. With French tech, with the invention of Now, the humanoid robot that's interactive and autonomous. With Open Lab, the European platform for experiments.
If we take the Open Lab project, it would not have been possible in a different context. We designed and deployed a large-scale internet testbed for academics and industry, and we were able, therefore, to work at the best international level. France is also Europe. Together, they enable to carry larger, more ambitious projects and benefit from the diversity of talents that makes our projects more competitive.
In a world context of researchers on the move, France is a shining example. It exports its educational know-how to Abu Dhabi, for example, where the Sorbonne has a campus, or to Beijing with its École Centrale. And France attracts. Our country draws researchers from the world over. It's one of the most attractive countries in the world for international students.
When I arrived, my research domain, human-computer interaction, was not very well developed in France. But INRIA gave me the resources and the freedom to do the research that I believe in.
France is, of course, one of the best places in the world to do fundamental research in science. It combines several advantages. For example, a permanent position, relatively young, and relatively generous state funding for blue sky research means that one can concentrate on doing good science rather than running the rat race all the time.
France, a country with a global outlook. CNRS is the research center with the world's highest number of publications. Arianespace is a leader in space transportation. The Rosetta mission will make it possible for us to go back to the origins of the solar system. Attractive, influential, a springboard, France wants to combine its assets with its ambitions. It's both a land of savoir-faire and a land of savoir-vivre. France is both home to 35 UNESCO World Heritage Sites and is one of the world's most dynamic poles for innovation and research. Your rendezvous with France.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Bonjour everyone. Thank you for attending this talk. Okay, we are about to begin. All right. Okay. Bonjour everyone. Welcome to this week's educational talk series, Opportunities to Pursue Postgraduate Studies in France. The time now is 2:33 p.m. according to my watch. And this program is part of our USM-UL Center program, okay, which we occasionally have from time to time. So today we have a very special guest from France, okay, who specially attended, who is here on the engineering campus to give her talk. Okay, and today's event will take about until 4:30, I expect, 2 hours. Okay, and it is collaboratively organized by USM-UL Center, US University Science Malaysia, University de Lorraine Center, Malaysia France University Center, MFUC, and Campus France. So we are very fortunate to have 3 distinguished speakers who will be presenting today. Oh yes, but first and foremost, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Fatihah Muhammad Omar from the School of Civil Engineering. And together with Dr. Tuti Katrina from the School of Material Engineering. Together we are hosting this program here on the engineering campus, USM. So let's get straight to the program. Okay, our first speaker is Miss Alice Monnier. Ms. Monnier is the Deputy Director of the Malaysia-France University Center, MFUC. She is also the representative of both the French Embassy and the Campus France in Malaysia. And she'll be giving a talk entitled Study in France for Postgraduates. And this will be followed by our next talk, which will be given by Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hazwan Hussein, okay, from the School of Chemical Science. And Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hazwan is also the coordinator for USM-UL Center in USM. And he is also the Deputy Director of RCMO, Research, Creativity and Management Office. Okay. A little background about Dr. Hazwan. He was awarded a double PhD degree program, especially based on the USM and University de Lorraine, France. And recently, he was appointed as the visiting professor at the University of Lorraine. He will be giving a talk entitled USM-UL Center and Co-tutelle program in the next session. And he will be assisted by Dr. Muhammad Nurul Azmi bin Muhammad Taib, who is also a lecturer in the School of Chemical Science. He is also a representative of the USM-UL Center. And similar to Dr. Hazwan, he also conducted his PhD under the Co-tutelle with École Polytechnique Paris, Grande École French Military University. And we are also proud to inform that he is one of the recipients of the PHC Hibiscus 2019 during the first cycle. So without further ado, okay, I will welcome our first speaker to deliver the first talk. And after both talks, we will have a Q&A session. Please welcome.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm just gonna. Oh, do I start the presentation? Just a second. Just a second. Sorry about that. Maybe I can start by introducing myself. Yeah, it's working. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm Alice Lemonnier. I'm both the So I'm Alice Lemonnier. I'm the Deputy Director at the Malaysia France University Center, which is a binational organization managed by the French Embassy in Malaysia and the Ministry of Higher Education in Malaysia. And I'm also the representative of Campus France. Just a second. Okay, thank you. So at the Malaysia France University Center, our main objectives are to reinforce the cooperation between France and Malaysia in higher education and research, and to find programs that best match the needs of Malaysian and French students according to their area of interest. We also provide advice to students for their stay in France if they have any questions before leaving. We organize, for example, pre-departure briefing sessions to help them go through the administrative process before, for example, for the visa or once you arrive in France. So if you have any questions about studying in France, don't hesitate to contact us. I will start by showing you a little video, if it's working. So you may wonder why study in France. It's a bit far away from Malaysia. So there's a few main reasons why you could and you should choose France for your postgraduate studies. First of all is the quality of life. France is a very pleasant country in the heart of Europe. From France, you can travel all around the European Union very easily. You can go for one weekend to Spain, Hungary, Bulgaria, Sweden, anywhere. And we have a very rich cultural life. If you like museums, we have more than 8,000 museums. We have 40,000 monuments, national monuments and protected sites, a lot of cinemas, more than 40 now cultural sites appearing on the UNESCO World Heritage list. And you can see on this slide, we have, of course, the Eiffel Tower that everybody knows, But we also have the lavender fields in the Provence, really, really nice place to go around. We have the Riviera coast in the south of France. And if you are adventurous and you want to try skiing, the best place to do that is in the Alps. It's a very beautiful mountains. The cost of living is quite affordable for a European country in France, especially when you're a student there. So usually for the average student's budget per month, we advise students to plan 1,000 euros in Paris. Paris is a bit more expensive than the rest of France. In other cities, depending on the size of the city, a smaller city would be around 600 euros per month, all inclusive. And in a bigger city, it would be around 800 euros. The thing is, in France, the main expense is the rent. Our rents are a bit more expensive than in Malaysia. So that's what makes the difference between Paris and the rest of the cities in France. But a really interesting thing to know is that as a student, you have access to all the university restaurants, the dormitories, where you will have a student card that gives you a lot of discounts everywhere for the trains, the transportation, and you get special fares for cultural and sports events as well. The tuition fees also are quite affordable in the public university in France because they're highly subsidized by the French government. So just as French students, you will have access to affordable tuition fees. For a master program, the maximum price you will have to pay is 3,770 euros. And you can see for the PhD program, if you're interested, it's very affordable because it's only 380 euros per year. And it's open to every international student, so don't hesitate. In private institutions, if you're interested to go study in a private institution, it will depend on the program you choose to study and the school, but it's still quite affordable, especially engineering schools, because they're also subsidized by the government. What can interest you also? One good reason to go study in France is that France is a world-class economic power. We are the world's 7th largest economy with many advanced industries and international corporations that are leaders in their field. For example, 31 of the world's 500 largest corporations are French. So I'm sure you all know Airbus. I'm sure you've all taken a plane. It might have been an Airbus. We have Total for energy, Orange for telecommunication, L'Oréal for cosmetics, for example, or Veolia for water technologies. And what's interesting to know is that many of those French companies are based also in Malaysia. So there are more than 300 French companies here in Malaysia. So I mentioned already Airbus, but we also have Thales, Safran, Colas-Rail, Vinci, Decathlon, Sanofi, Air Liquide. You may not have heard about them because they're not that famous, but they hire a lot of Malaysian alumni students from Malaysia who've been studying in France. We also have the French Tech Network here in Malaysia, which aims at developing the startup networks between France and Malaysia. So if you have a startup ID from France, or if you want to collaborate with a startup in France, they are the one who can help you do that. This means also with all those French companies based in Malaysia, many internship opportunities and many job opportunities, because they're very keen to hire a Malaysian student who has been studying in France, because it means you already know the system, you already know the methodology, how we work. So you are the perfect candidate for them. If you're interested to go back to Malaysia, you can also stay in France, of course. In France, we have a large diversity of programs. We have more than 3,600 public and private institutions. So in total, we have 73 public universities where we have both professionally oriented degrees and research-oriented degrees. We have more than 227 engineering schools. So they have a selective admission process, but it's feasible for many Malaysian students actually. And once you graduate from an engineering school, you get a master degree in France. We have more than 200 business and management schools that are ranked among the very best in the world in different rankings. 50 schools of arts, 20 schools of architecture. And then we have many different schools and institutes, both public and private, that cover any field you would like to study. What's interesting in the French system is that there is a very strong emphasis on employability. So you will get you will have to do many internships during your program. Usually the schools or the university help you find opportunities, internship opportunities, but you can also do them abroad in Europe. And you can also get a scholarship from the Erasmus Plus program once you're a student in France. It's available not only to French students, but every foreigner who is studying a degree in France. In 2019, before the COVID, we welcomed more than 350,000 international students in France. Actually, France is one of the first choice among non-English speaking countries after the US and UK. And I haven't had the time to mention everything, but we have really good arts if you are interested, very good music, a lot of nice food to try, many very nice pastries that I would recommend if you need recommendation, don't hesitate to ask. Our education is very high quality. We have a very affordable and efficient healthcare system that you can get access to for free as a foreign student in France, just like a French student. And of course, it's a top tourist destination, so you will never get bored in France. You can visit many, many, many places. So I'm going to explain quickly how the French higher education system works. So it's a bit different than the Malaysian system. Our system is based on the European degree system. So we have 3 steps, which we call LMD. So L is for licence, bachelor, M for master, and D for doctorate, which is the PhD. So our bachelor, are in 3 years, and our master are 2 years, and our doctorate are usually 3 years, can be more. And the academic year is organized into 2 semesters. Each semester you will earn credits, which we call ECTS, European Credit Transfer System, which means that you can transfer your credit from one country to another among the European Union countries. So, for example, you want to do your bachelor in France and switch to do your master in Germany, for example, it's possible, and your credits are recognized. Same if you are doing your master in Italy and you want to do your PhD in France, no problem, because all our credits are recognized. I mentioned before we have many schools, so we have a diversity of programs and fields. So if you're interested in studying engineering, we have a lot of engineering schools, as I mentioned, but we also have, we can also study physics, chemistry, biology, pharmacy, math, anything is available in France. So don't restrain yourself. You will for sure find something interesting for you to study. So I just explained quickly how to find a postgraduate program. So Campus France developed online catalog of French higher education offer that includes more than 30,000 programs at the bachelor, master, and PhD level. So you can select by field of study, the academic level. So L is for bachelor, as I mentioned, and D is for PhD, doctorate. You can select also the geographic region if you already know where you would like to go study. And of course, you can use keywords. So it's quite a useful tool to find your program. If you don't speak French, no need to worry. There are programs taught in English in France. We have another website, which is a really good tool if you want to find a program in English. I would always recommend to learn a little bit of French on the side if you're going to go study in France, even though you're studying in English. It's always good for your daily life and to integrate in the French culture, but it's not mandatory, so it's very up to you. Some universities may ask you for a TOEFL or IELTS scores. Some universities, if you already done your bachelor in Malaysia and you say you studied in English, they can say, oh, okay. And they accept it, and they are sure that your level is already good. So it's something up to the university, and you can always ask them if they really need IELTS or TOEFL or this kind of certification. So how to apply? So the first thing would be to check the website of the institution, and then you have to apply online via a platform called Études en France. That's for public universities or public schools, other institutions. You can apply directly to them by connecting to their website. Some have their own admission process. And you will need to connect to the platform Études en France afterwards once you get your acceptance letter. It's the first step before you being able to apply for your visa, student visa to France. Now I will mention a few funding opportunities. So we have a pre-doctoral mobility from the French Embassy scholarship. Actually, one student from USM got it this year, so it's very feasible for all of you. So the goal of this scholarship is to support the mobility of Malaysian master students who wish to study in France with the objective of pursuing their studies through a PhD. So it's a funding for 10 months, and you have to be applying for a second year of master in a higher education institution in France. It's open to all Malaysian citizens who have applied, because usually the call for application opens in spring, so you still don't know sometimes if you're accepted already for the second year of the master, but you can apply, don't wait. And the allowance is of 700 euros per month. It covers many expenditure linked to the mobility, flight, accommodation, catering. You also get the French government scholar status, so you get access to a very affordable student residence. So your rent will be much cheaper than in the private market. So it's very interesting. To apply, so usually we open the application in springtime. I don't know exactly the date for 2023, but you can check out our website and the embassy website, the French embassy website, if you need any information. There are also very interesting programs called Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees. So it's not only with France, it's with all the countries that are participating to the Erasmus program. So it's an international study program on a very specific field that is jointly delivered by an international consortium of higher education institutions. So it lasts for a minimum of 12 months to a maximum of 24 months. It's very at the master level. And the students, any students who can access a master, so for example, if you got your bachelor already, you can apply to these kind of programs. And what's interesting in those programs, you can apply as a private student without a scholarship, but you can also apply, all of them, they have scholarship programs for international students, so it's open to everybody all around the world. And you can receive a very nice Erasmus Plus financial support. It covers everything. It's a very good scholarship. It covers your trip, it covers your installation, if you need to move around your things. So just to explain to you how it works, usually there are like 3 or 4 institutions that are collaborating to offer you this kind of program. And for example, you do 1 semester in France, then 1 semester in Germany, then the 3rd semester in Italy, and then you can choose for your final thesis where you want to do your semester. So it depends on the program. They are all structured differently, but it's very interesting because you can have access to many different ways of thinking. You're with students from all around the world, and they really follow up on you. And I think it's a very nice experience also to be able to study in different European countries. And those degrees are highly accepted in the job market and are highly valuable after to find a job. To apply, you can find the catalog of all those Erasmus Mundus joint master's degrees online on the European Union website. Not all of them are linked to France, but some of them are, and you can choose which country you would like to study for sure. And after, you can put some keywords also to find the programs. They're very specific, so I invite you to go have a look, because not many students in Malaysia are aware of this opportunity, and it's very great programs. In France, we go back to the national level. We have the EFL Scholarship Excellence Program. So it has been established by the French So the PhD, as you know, is the highest degree awarded by universities. And when you are doing it in France, it's internationally recognized. It has to be done under the supervision of a thesis supervisor. And it can be done in all universities and even in some engineering, management, or art schools that have to be associated with a university. So the PhD in France is organized by 270 doctoral schools that are attached to 2,500 public research laboratories. So many opportunities there. To find a PhD offer, you can consult the Campus France catalog, which gives you the list of all the doctoral schools. So you can select by keywords, by field of studies. And you have also some offers, some PhD that are already found some funding, but they need a candidate. So it can be a good opportunity for you if you're studying in engineering or science fields. There are a lot of offers there. I'm trying to change the slide. Yeah. So there are some funding as well from the French embassy if you want to do a doctorate. The fund from the French embassy is for PhD students who are engaged in a co-direction or co-tutelle program, or who at least who are wishing to perform a research stay in France. So the scholarship fund from 3 to 6 months in France. The call is open to Malaysian citizens who are under 35 years of age when they apply, and who have been accepted or are already enrolled in a PhD program in France and in Malaysia, which we call Co-tutelle in French, or a PhD program in Malaysia, and that can provide an official acceptance letter from a host institution in France. So it's okay if you're not in a co-tutelle, you can still apply to this program, but you need to have already contacted a laboratory in France who will be willing to accept you for a research stay. All areas of studies are eligible, so don't hesitate. 5 PhD students were selected in 2022, including 2 students from USM. So USM is always in a good place for this kind of funding. So don't hesitate. And after, if you already got your PhD and you're working in a university, the French embassy has a funding for you. So it's called Academic Staff Mobility Grant. It's a mobility for researchers and lecturers. It's a 1-month stay in France, allowing the researcher or the lecturer to launch a new collaboration program, for example, a cooperation in research, a new student exchange, to develop a double degree. Or you can also develop an existing program, but it has to be in a significant way. So, for example, if you include new institutions or new areas of your current cooperation with an institution in France, or if you want to follow up on the double degree, all these kind of things are available. And the applications will open again in spring 2023, if everything goes well. If you're interested to do some research with French laboratories, the embassy just launched, it's been launched last week, the program called My Tiger, so the France-Malaysia collaboration program for joint research 2023. So it's a joint funding program with the objective of structuring and stimulating research cooperation between France and Malaysia. The program is an initiative by the Embassy of France in Malaysia in order to continue support bilateral cooperation in research. So maybe you've heard about MATCH last year, it was the name of the program, and the PHC Hibiscus, who was launched in 2019 and 2020. So because of the current situation with the COVID and all this, the French embassy tried to offer another type of program where other type of expenses are eligible. So it's the case of My Tiger. So this one, this program is based on a call for projects, an independent evaluation process guided by common interest and ambition for excellence. And it's also a co-funding mechanism. So you need to find a matching grants by a Malaysian research institution to involve in the program. So the French government gives 5,000 euros per year for 2 years. so 10,000 euros over the course of 2 years. And the Malaysian institution has to find a matching grant of a minimum of 2,500 euros per year. So the first year has to be settled when you apply, and the second year, it depends on the funding available. So if you have any question, you can check our website, Cooperation in Research, and of course, you can contact us. To finish, I just wanted to share with you a testimonial from one of our alumni who study chemical process in an engineering school in France, Zarif. Let's listen to him.
Hi everyone, my name is Zarif. I was in France for 6 years. I think the difference is in how we like to learn the core theory of it and not just like simply applying stuff. You become curious towards why those things happen. And the French are very good with theories, academics. When you study in France, you get to like emulate some of that. And I think that's very, very good. I think Malaysians should really go to France to study because I think number one is the most underrated place on this planet for you to study, because in terms of the academic level is very high, provided that you know which university to go to. It's very high, it's very demanding, and at the same time when you go to France you get to like expand outside of your comfort zone. You are going outside of your comfort zone because you are learning in a different language, and at the same time your team members, your colleagues are from a different culture, and you have to have that openness of heart for you to like absorb those new things. And you know, it's a wonderful world out there. Just go out there. It's a wonderful experience, wonderful adventure. Just go out there. Thank you.
So I would say follow Zarif's advice and go study in France. Here are some useful links for you. So we have short and summer programs. If you're a bit scared to go for a full degree in France, you can also try out and check it out by going just for short programs. It can be 1, 2, 3 weeks, depending on the offer from the universities. I mentioned it before, the programs taught in English, there is a specific website where you can find all of them. We have one for bachelor and master's degree, and then we have one for research internship, PhD, and postdoc. If you want to contact us, follow us on social media, and you can write to us as well. Thank you so much. Terima kasih. Merci. Sorry for the technical issues. I hope you could follow up on the presentation. And I think I will let the floor to my colleagues, Dr. Azwan and Dr. Azmi. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Miss Alice Mounier, for the informative talk. That was plentiful of info concerning the opportunities to pursue your studies in France. Whether for bachelor, a master's, or PhD degree, there's always room for anyone who's interested to learn there. And there are many universities who would be able to accept you as a student based on the program that you select. So please have a look at the websites that has been presented by Ms. Mounier. I'm sure that with also the guidance also by the French Embassy and also by Ms. Mounier, you can contact her as shown on the slides. Okay, please feel free to reach out and ask any questions. Okay, and also as the testimonial presented by Mr. Zarif, there's also the opportunity to learn le plus belle langue dans le monde, the most beautiful language in the world. And it would be great to visit France, but with the chance of speaking French, learning the life of the French. So please take this opportunity and explore the other side of this, the other side of Europe. Okay, so without the next talk, okay, is presented by Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hazwan Hussein, okay, who is also the coordinator of the USM-UL Center. Okay, he will present the talk entitled Research Attachment and USM-UL Co-tutelle Program. Okay, with pleasure.
So very good afternoon to everyone. Bonjour à tous. My name is Muhammad Hazwan Hussein. I'm currently the coordinator for USM-UL Center. And I think I would like to welcome everyone for joining our sharing session today. And I'm going to talk about something that is interesting, especially for the postgraduate students, on the research attachment and also the Co-tutelle or the PhD double degree program between University Science Malaysia and also University Lowen. Okay. So when we talk about France, we always imagine all these pictures. So you have a very iconic Eiffel Tower, and then you also have the place where the Mona Lisa portrait was being hanged in Musée du Louvre, and then some historical buildings like Notre Dame, the Cathedral de Notre Dame, and then some I think places where you can do shoppings in Lafayette, Champs-Élysées, to find all these branded brands like LV, Longchamps, and whatsoever. And apart from that, you also think about all this French cuisine, the baguette, the fromage, the cheese, and other things. Guess my colleague Alice have explained what's the reason of studying in France. I guess more or less we know that France academic system is one of the best in the world. And I think more than 30 of French institutions are counted among the top university in the world. So University of Lowen is part of the top ranking university in the world. So that is why I think we actually in USM started this collaboration since 1999, Prof. Fida. And of course, the cost of living in France is comparatively low if you don't compare. I mean, let's say that in Paris alone, probably the cost will be slightly higher because in a big city, same like as in Kuala Lumpur. But in somewhere the outskirts of the country, like Nancy, the budget of the average monthly stipend will be slightly low. And French is also known as the world-class economic power. So this also have been presented by my colleagues. So all these top companies actually French brand, and as mentioned, they also hire a lot of French alumni, including the one coming from Malaysia. And yeah, there's a lot of diversity in the programs. And the thing is that we have to bear in mind is that some courses in France is not only offered in French, but they are also offering in English. For example, business courses. And then I think some of the postgraduate courses are also offered in English. So it doesn't mean that when you study in France, it has to be like totally in French. So there's also option that the postgraduate students can also study in English. Right. So according to our record, I mean, this is actually a very old record from our legal office. France actually have been identified as one of the top 10 countries that University of Science Malaysia are being active. So we have actually 5 active MOA with France, including University of Leuven. And why we need collaboration? Of course, in terms of formality, this can give actually benefits in terms of research. You can actually produce a joint publication. And as mentioned, there's also opportunities for matching grants between the two researchers from two respective institutions. And then other than that, it will be on diplomacy and pushing factors like KPI, because if you have a joint publication between two researchers from two university, one from Malaysia, another one from foreign university, it actually gives more points for Myra and whatsoever. So for informal, of course, in terms of the knowledge transfer, accessibility of instruments, subscription of journals and whatsoever. And the international collaboration is essentially important because it helps the researcher to pass the parts that depends on geography, culture, and climate. So even though going to France, it takes like maybe 14 to 15 hours of flights, but I think with these days technology, international collaboration via online meetings and whatsoever can also be achieved. So this actually can give more benefits to the researchers and also to the students. And it also allow for a more thorough interpretation of data. So you have experts from France and experts from Malaysia that can actually share their opportunities and they can also share their expertise as well. And it also allows a richer exchange of knowledge and also expertise. So how to maintain collaboration? What we practice between USM and also University of Leuven, we always look for opportunities. Examples, grant opening. So we have to find what will be the options. We have to deal or to engage with French embassy, with MFUC to know what will be the openings or calls that at the moment available. And apart from that, of course, teamwork. So collaboration cannot be sustained if you don't have a continuous projects with the French collaborator. So of course, teamwork is important. And keep in touch with the researchers by a regular visit. Unfortunately, this past 2 years, we have all these COVID-19 problems. But I think now the borders are opening and they are actually pleased to welcome any researchers or any students. So in fact, I just came back from Nancy last month, spending 1 month over there. So the situation of COVID is under control over there. And I guess the research activities is go back to normal. And obviously, there should be no conflict of interest. And whenever we sign the MOU or MOA, so the extension is actually part of the important things. So whenever the agreements ended, so we have to think of extension and not just stop the collaborations there. Right. So University of Leuven is located in the city of Nancy. Okay. And it is actually a very nice city for those who have visited Nancy. And there's several iconic places that you can go, for example, Place Stanislas. And then you also have this old palace of the Viceroy of Nancy. And there's also a cathedral nearby. And Nancy is also famous with its Mirabelle. So Mirabelle is actually a type of cherry that could be found a lot in Nancy as compared to other regions. So University of Leuven the strength, actually, they form after a merger of former four universities in 2012. So it has been 10 years already. They have around 3,900 faculty members with 3,000 technical and admin staff. So they offer several programs, and for their facilities, they have actually 54 locations in Loin. So it is not like University of Science Malaysia where all are centralized. University of Loin, actually the labs or the centers are a bit scattered. So if you actually ask where does this university located, so it's actually located in the city itself. So it is scattered. So you have a few labs, a few campuses in the city. You also have a few labs or center in the countrysides and other things. And the strength of University of Lorraine, they are actually top in several topics. For example, mining and minerals engineering. They are also top in chemical engineering. So they have a Grand Eco, they have a NSIC. This is actually where the students study chemical engineering. So it's also considered one of the top chemical engineering school in France. And obviously, as mentioned earlier, the historical background of USM-UL collaboration started a long time ago. So we have celebrated 20 years of collaboration in 2019. So meaning that the collaboration started way back in 1999 by the first co-tutelle, PhD co-tutelle, Professor Afida, who's actually with us today. And I think throughout the years, this collaboration has produced 11 PhD candidates graduated with co-tutelle program. So you can see how diverse we are. We started from chemistry, and after that, we expand to other areas as well. So we have 6 graduates in chemistry, 4 in engineering. We have materials, chemical engineering, and also 1 in biology. And at the moment, we have 4 PhD co-tutelle ongoing, which is 1 in medical school, 1 in chemical engineering, 1 in physics, and also 1 in chemistry. So since then, I think 2002, we actually received, students from UL to USM and students from USM going to UL every year. And the students, 3 students obtained EU scholarship for the Erasmus Mundus program, so including Dr. Tuti, yes. And I think our alumni, I think maybe some of our alumni actually served back to the university, like Prof. Afida, Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Hana, me, myself, Dr. Tuti as well. And we also have our previous technician who obtained a professional degree in glass blowing. So another new adventure with MOA in dual master program started in 2009. And this actually dual master's program for chemical instrumentation together with School of Chemical Sciences. And since 2012, this data is not really new. 5 students, actually, we have obtained more. Students from UL came to USM for attachment. So part of their MSc requirement, because in France, they have Master 1 and Master 2 level. And part of the requirement is to do a stage or research attachment in a foreign country. So Malaysia is considered one of their favorite country to travel. And for researchers or lecturers who are interested to hire or to maybe host students from UL, can always contact us, and we can actually advertise this to our UL colleagues. So other programs that we have done includes workshop, colloquiums every 2 years, a joint soutenance or viva with UL, postdoctorate attachment, sabbatical leave, joint master or PhD supervision, and other activities that we've done together with University of Leuven. So at the moment, I guess we already published almost 100 joint publication together with University of Leuven. So of course, actively by our researchers. And in order to maintain this joint publication, we do encourage our researchers who wanted to start collaboration with UL. So you can also engage with us, USM-UL Center, and we can try to match you with, colleagues in UL. So these are a few pictures that shows, the collaboration that lasts 20 years. We can see Professor Pierre Steinmetz. It's Professor Pierre Steinmetz who received honorary doctorate from conferred honorary doctorate from USM. Was a long time ago. Can't remember the year. Okay, and I think several pictures that shows the attachment of staffs. A joint workshop. Like for example, over here we have Professor Claude Milo that came to School of Chemical Sciences to conduct workshop, and I think several colloquiums, and Prof. Afida also received awards from French Embassy. Yes, this is also part of the things that we are proud of. And of course, on our last USM-UL colloquium, it opens another area, life, health, and environmental sciences. So in 2017, we have 19 delegates from UL came to Penang, and to start, a new partnership in a new area. So this is actually the picture. We have, I think the recent one, not 2017, we have 2019 that we did to celebrate 20 years in USM. And this is where I think all the MOU and the agreement signed. And in the visit by the president of Mr. Leuven at that time, Mr. Pierre Muzenhard, with then Professor Dato Asma, they have agreed to create a joint center. So the initial idea was from the visit of the two, president and the vice chancellor, and to initiate a joint center. So that is why I think in 2019 we actually officiate or open our joint center. So the center actually function as a place where all the exchange program and the organization of mobility have been centralized or managed. And it's also monitored by a governing board and management committee. And I think for financial means, this center actually have no heavy budget per se, but the coordination dedicated to the partnership by both partners through the external funding is actually important. So that is why I think sometimes we have to think of some projects or some opportunities, matching grant or whatsoever to maintain the collaboration or research activity. So as said, the USM-UL Center officiated in August 2019. So I'm actually the current coordinator replacing Prof. Afida. But Prof. Afida is still helping us, giving us advice. So she still can be contacted. And I think our committees are coming from different schools. Most of them are alumni. And we also have a representative in engineering schools. We have Dr. Tuti, who is our Co-tutelle alumni. We also have Dr. Fatiha in the School of Civil Engineering, who's the MC today. And I think a few others from different campus. I think IPPT, we have Dr. Azrul as well. And I think the most of the committee located in main campus. So as said, it's function for hub for French networking, promoting French education, connecting researchers and facilitating attachment. And we are open daily. and you are pleased to visit us in the Torre building. So our office is in level 2. So if you need more information, you can always contact us. So what about the financial resources for this collaboration? Actually, it comes from various funding, especially from KPT grants, internal grant from USM, the host laboratory, or from the French embassy. In fact, for Lorraine, they have been awarded LEE, or Lorraine University de Sciences. This is almost similar like APEX status, where they receive, I think, some allocation or some budget for research, and they can actually hire PhD students or actually sponsor mobility. Previously, we have PAC grant, grant, which is actually quite common in every countries. Previously in Malaysia, it is known as PAC Hibiscus, but later after that, it changed to Match, and now My Tiger. I think maybe next year is going to be another name, not sure. And for your information, the matching grant between France and Malaysia have been, I think, been done successfully by our researchers. And I think we are proud to say that USM plays an active role in order to, do or apply this matching grant. For example, in 2019, for the PAC Hibiscus grant, from all 8 successful grants, 4 from them are actually coming from USM, so half of it. So at that time, Prof. Dato' Rahman was very happy because we conquer all, and in fact, he is also one of the recipients. And then in 2020, from 10 successful projects, 2 actually coming from USM, Dr. Tuti, Dr. Farazatu Hafinas, and for last year, match grant, we have from 8 successful, 1 actually from USM. So you can see the trend, it goes down slowly, 4, 2, 1. And this year, there's an opening for My Tiger. So I really hope that anyone who have a collaboration with France and in fact wanted to start with UL, you can actually try to write a proposal. So the call of proposal is open since last week. Yeah, and the deadline is actually 1st of August. As said, the funding for French colleagues is actually coming from the French embassy, and the funding from Malaysia is actually coming from the USM institution. Right, so for research attachment, it is actually open for masters, PhD, and staff. So it means that the research attachment is not only limited to students, but it is also could be beneficial for academic staff and also non-academic staff. So we do offer inbound and outbound attachment. Obviously, I think some specialty of Malaysian passport is that when you enter France or EU countries, not more than 90 days, so you don't have to apply visa. So this is part of the strength that we have. And obviously, if it is more than 3 months, then you will require a visa. So the funding, I think previously IPS offered this mobility scheme, but I think now no more. But obviously, there's also another scheme offered by IMCC, okay, International Mobility Center in USM, that can actually sponsor flight tickets to students who wanted to do research attachment or exchange program with partner university. So UL is USM partner university. And I think for USM, you can, for staff, you can apply TPLN, or you can actually get it from your own grant or other grants like PAC, Match, and etc. So some pictures that shows the student attachment in USM. So you can see, I think we have a students that studies master in solid materials, Hugo, that came to USM and enjoying durian. And we do have another attachment from undergraduate students from NSIC. They did 3 months of attachment, in Archaeology Center. And in 2019, we have 3 Master 2 students in chemistry that done, several, maybe almost 6 months of attachment with our researchers in USM. Meanwhile, the student attachment in UL, so every year we do send students, and in fact, this year we have 2 students, PhD students, successfully obtaining the MFUC mobility funding. They are from IPPT and another students from chemical engineering under the supervision of Associate Professor Dr. Derek. So they will spend their PhD research attachment in UL. And I think from the past, you can see, some Co-tutelle and PhD attachment being actively done. So I guess now in non-C, we have maybe around 4 USM students in UC De Leuven, and they are coming back in different times as well. So I guess this one have been maybe explained by Elise. And for our double degree program, for example, in the School of Chemical Sciences, we have a Master's in Chemical Instrumentation. It is actually a mixed mode program. And this program are also considered as a dual master degree with UL. So we signed the MOA in 2019. So what happened is that the program should be in 2 years, because in France, the master program normally in 2 years, even though our mixed mode program just 1 year. So what happened if you want to take this dual master's degree? The students are going to take courses, obviously in USM, and then for 1 year, and then after that, the following year, they will do dissertation or projects in UL. Right. So a few things that I would like to emphasize over here is that, oh, it's not going back. Oh. Okay. So for masters in chemistry, previously, I guess the student cannot obtain the scholarship from MFUC, but now I guess MFUC are also sponsoring master student. So do check out their website if there's any call for mobility. And from there, you can try to apply and see your opportunities. Meanwhile, for joint PhD, this is actually the specialties. We considered our program as the first program in USM that offers double degree. Isn't it, Prof? Yeah. So after that comes Osaka, comes Nagaoka program. But we are the first, and we are actually being referred by others. So it is actually quite proud for us, because we are giving some examples. So as said, this joint PhD has been like 2 years in operation. And the Co-tutelle program actually have certain criteria. Of course, if you are interested to do Co-tutelle program, it is actually a 3 years program. So the research will be conducted in Malaysia for 2 years. And then in France, you should spend your time with a minimum stay of 12 months. Okay. And the output of a Co-tutelle program is obviously publication. One ISI publication is required for UL for graduation. Meanwhile, for USM, it requires 2 publications for PhD, Scopus or ISI. So it depends on the eco-doctoral that you are being engaged. But for UL, the common requirement is that whenever you want to finish PhD, you should publish at least 1 ISI. For USM, 2 publication. So there will be 2 PhDs awarded, meaning that you will have 2 convocation, 1 in USM, 1 in UL, and then before completing the defense, before completing the degrees, so there will be only 1 difference. So this is actually part of the specialty of our program, where the candidate doesn't have to do 2 times of defense or soutenance compared to other programs. So obviously, because of 1 defense, then you only have to submit 1 thesis. So the thesis actually can be written in English, mostly in English. You can write in French as well, as you want. and then with the addition of Malay and French abstract. So the examination committee will be comprises of French and also Malaysian expert. So for USM, PhD examination will be examined by 2 internal and 1 external examiners. Meanwhile, for UL, the candidate will be examined by 2 external. So meaning that our members of jury will be quite numbers, and we have like a common external examiners between USM and UL, just to set it as a buffer. And then, of course, if you are interested to undergo a Co-tutelle program, there's a few basic requirements. Obviously, to have a very good grades during undergraduates or masters, and good command in English. And if you know some basics of French, that will be an advantage for survival. And of course, publication. So I do remember when I actually applied for a Co-tutelle, at that time, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So there's an interview conducted by the French embassy. But now I guess maybe depends on the management of the embassy. So now they are, opening a call, so you can apply, and they will do the selection. But I think from time to time, the requirement may change it a bit. So for financial assistance, it is important to note that whenever the students wanted to do a Co-tutelle program, they should be funded. So this is actually part of the requirements from both university. So that is why for USM, I think previously we actually encourage the USM fellowship holder or GA to apply. But I guess maybe these days we didn't see much of fellowship or GA. But if you are being hired as GRA, you can apply because it is actually from a grant, and you have, I think, received some amount from research grant. So this could be a strong justification for Co-tutelle program. And then for the postgraduate research attachment scheme, this is actually for the mobility. Okay, and other things will be from the internal grant. Let's say that the supervisors are working with collaborators in France, and they are working on RU or short-term grant. So this can be used as, I think, a support. And then scholarship from Malaysian government. Previously, we have My Brain. Okay, and maybe there will be some other, I think, KPT scholarship as well, which you can use to apply. And then for UL, they have this LUE scholarships or grant. So they also have International Research Partnership, RRP, grant. And I think the biggest funding that we received previously was from the French embassy through PAC or from Campus France funding. So what will be the flow for PhD Co-tutelle? When you want to start, so of course, you need to appoint or have a discussion with a researcher from UL, and then several contacts can actually result a joint research proposal. And then if both parties agree, then you can actually contact us, USM-UL, so we can actually assist. So the students will register for PhD in USM. So in order to synchronize the year of study between USM and UL, normally we will encourage a student to register in USM in the early of the year. So for example, in March or February, normally in March. And then in the same year, probably in October or November, the candidate will fly to France to undergo the 1-year attachment. So when they come back, they will continue their research in USM. So this actually, in order to, as I said, to synchronize the year of studies between USM and UL. So meaning that you will register as a first-year student in both university, probably the first semester in USM, and then the second semester or in the next academic year is actually in UL. So after that, probably you can try to apply scholarship, or if you already receive GRA or funding, so we will actually engage with French embassy if they can actually allocate some funding for scholarships or for mobility. And if it is successful, then the student will fly, as I said, to France in October or probably November to start their PhD. But I think along the way, when the students or the candidate receive funding from the French embassy, so I mean the co-tutelle agreement should be start to be draft, and the signing will be done during the first year of the studies. And then I think finally it will be on visa application. So if you are students and funded by French embassy, so the visa will be free. And I think monthly French scholarship will be obtained as well. And it will actually be in account or bank account to your French bank. Okay, so how to start? Actually, we do encourage the candidate or the supervisor to start 1 year earlier. So it doesn't mean that if you listen to the talk today, the following day you want to start the co-tutelle. So the engagement between the researchers from both universities should be done even earlier. So we also do encourage if the students been attached to this university first, just to have some experience, to know or to get used to the system and everything before you can actually push them for co-tutelle. And then both supervisors have the same objective and starts the communication. So we can actually engage the supervisors, but in the end of the day, the supervisors should communicate between each other. And as I said, a short attachment will be useful, either by the supervisor or by the students to see, as I said, the facilities, the type of research, in order to understand. So if let's say that you are doing something else here and they are doing something else over there, so it's hard to find the connection, and probably the candidate will find some problems in order to do research. So find a suitable or capable candidates. This is actually an advice to the supervisor. Of course, to find a candidate that is financially secured. If let's say that they receive GRA, then you can actually maybe plan for them. And the candidate is also important. Make sure that they are very much creative, not too dependent to the supervisors, because anything can happen when you are in France. So yeah, I mean, during the pandemic for the last 2 years, I think some of our candidates facing some problems entering the labs and whatsoever. So progress will be slightly slow, and probably you have to change project a bit. But as I said, if the supervisors find a very good candidate, then I think the work can be done easily. So make a proposal and submit it to both universities in parallel. The proposal will be sent for scholarship application if there's a call. So as I said, if there's a call for mobility or scholarship from MFUC, then it is best if you already have the offer letter, if you already have the proposal, that, I mean, when you submit the application, it's already there. Okay. All right, so the assessment, as I said, there will be only one thesis, and this thesis will have 3 languages abstract, and then a new requirement, 20-page summary in French. They call it as sommaire. And I think if the candidate have a problem in order to write 20-page in French, a supervisor in France can also help. But I guess maybe with the current technologies, you can use some apps to assist, right? So there will be only one PhD defense. And for publication, the requirement for USM to have like 2 scopus or ISI. For UL, it's only 1 ISI. And there will be other requirements. But for UL, as I said, now there's also requirements for credits. unit. So there's several courses that the student need to attend in France. For example, like language class, research methodology courses. So all this actually contributes to several credit points. And if the candidate didn't meet the minimum requirement of the credit hours, then they cannot actually submit their thesis. So in the end, there will be 2 PhD certificates, one from USM and one from UL. Like for example, during my time, when I did my Co-tutelle, I received 1 degree in wood and science, I think degree from UL, and then PhD degree in corrosion chemistry from USM. So there will be 2 times of graduation. So you have like USM graduation, obviously, and there's a remise de diplôme in UL that normally done. Sometimes could be in a very nice amphitheater. So it will be a time to cherish. I guess maybe our previous Co-tutelle alumni, Dr. Saidina, he actually wore the traditional cloth. I think maybe he wear baju Melayu during the remise de diplôme. So it actually attract the audience. And unfortunately, I cannot share the videos, but obviously we do have the videos of his graduation. And yes, I think towards the end of my presentation, just to show you how does it look like when you study in University de Lorraine. So maybe Prof. Latif can also spot your picture over there. It was, I think maybe in 2012, during a visit by Professor Dato' Asma, when she was the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research. And I think students normally will be located in CRUS or Résidence Universitaire. It's like a student's hostel. And then I guess probably what we as an alumni have benefited is that we learn a lot in terms of the machines, all this facility. It is not the same as in USM where you send a sample to the technician and the technician will run for you. But in UL, normally you will experience the hands-on. You engage with the engineer, and the engineer actually is someone who's actually competent on that particular device or instrument. Like for example, I was doing a lot of NMR, 2D NMR in order for my characterization. So I engaged with a research engineer. So he actually received his PhD in NMR. So whenever they have a problem in NMR, so they just open the machine one day and then the following day it can be run. So in USM, normally it depends on the budget. If you have a machine, then you can fix the machine and it can be continued. So other than that, I guess studying in University de Lorraine or North Sea is not lonely. There's, I think, a lot of Malaysians over there, especially the undergraduates who study in NSIC and postgraduate students as well. So I think during my time, or even during our time as alumni, we enjoy moments of celebrating Hari Raya, celebrating different festivals, and we did all the makan-makan, potluck, and whatsoever. So yeah, I guess maybe this is actually the old address of MFUC. But now MFUC is located near the Intermark building in Jalan Ampang. Yeah, so you can always contact Alice to know more information. And just a promotion. So we do have a Facebook page, USM-UL Center. So you can go to this Facebook page and you can see what will be our activity. And you can, please don't forget to like or follow our Facebook page. And we do also have USM-UL YouTube account. So you can also follow and you can see what will be their activities and other things. So I guess with that, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Terima kasih. And if you have any question, anything, you can always contact me, Dr. Azmi, and Dr. Fatia, and Dr. Tuti for more information. So with that, thank you very much. I guess maybe I can take a few questions from Dr. Fatia. You want to moderate? Yeah, you can. Okay. Thank you. So I give back to Dr. Fatiha.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Hazwan Hussein, for the valuable sharing. As we can see, the USM-UL collaborative program has proven successful from the start to this very day. Thanks to the great efforts and commitment demonstrated by all the researchers, students who have been involved and still are, and who remain active. It is this USM-UL center has proven to be a very significant platform that I believe we should profit from and take advantage without second thoughts for those who are interested. For your good information, the USM-UL Center expands further, also touching on the cultural aspect for researchers and students who might be interested to find out or learn maybe the basics of the French language, or maybe the life, the cost of living, or the lifestyle, and any other information that would benefit you to prepare to prepare alongside by applying to further your studies or apply for an attachment. So we plan to engage also with other alliances from the Alliance Française, to organize activities, on maybe learning French, because I think learning French probably might be the first case that would be intimidating for us who would want to travel there. But actually, it might be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, effectivement, c'est vraiment facile de parler français. Donc, ce n'est pas un grand problème. It's not a big problem. Okay, so as for the current grant that has been shared, open for application, My Tiger, okay, please apply for it. You never know that this would be the ticket to travel to France and be attached to any of the top-notch universities there. And also, I think in the chat box, it's 4:10, right? In the chat box, okay, thank you to Dr. Azmi for engaging with the audiences who have shared their uncertainties, inquiries, okay, on issues, okay, regarding scholarship and also the attachment, right? Okay, maybe, is there anybody probably from the audience who would probably like to voice out, ask something live? We still have a Prof. Oh yes, Prof. Professor Latif. Thank you very much. Yes, Prof.
My Tiger. If I'm not sure who actually entitled to apply. Is it the supervisor or is it the student candidate? Because if I'm not mistaken, there is a requirement that the age factor is there. You know, I think below certain age can apply. So I'm not sure who should apply, whether the student or the supervisor, because most of the supervisors are old already, you know, so cannot meet the requirement of the age. So that is my first question, just to get some clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, respected Professor Latif. No, you are not old. First of all, forever energetic, Prof. Prof. Dr. Hazwan, would you like? Oh yes, okay, yes,
Yeah,
Ms. Mia.
So your question is about My Tiger or for PhD scholarship? To do research with My Tiger, the grant, actually it's the French PI who has to apply directly to the French embassy. And he has to work with his counterpart in Malaysia, but it can be anyone. The only thing is the representative on the Malaysian side has to have a contract for 2 years with his institution, at least a minimum of 2 years, because the program is for 2 years. But there's no age limit, I think.
Let me just add, because I've gone through the guidelines. It's mentioned about the age, but they said, it is encouraged for the young researcher, but there's no harm if professors are applying. So it means that Professor still can apply, but probably they give like more, how to say, not priority, but they encourage young researchers to apply as well. So that is why they mentioned. Actually, no, because it should be the researchers or the lecturers. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Munir and Dr. Hazwan. Are there any other questions? Tak ada. Okay.
Okay. Let me just add a little bit. Ini boleh dengar? Okay. Alright. Regarding on the selection, because I was talking with Alice, how does this evaluation happen? So, as mentioned by Alice, the application should be done by the French collaborator. So, you work on the proposal first together, and then after that, the French collaborator will submit to French embassy, and the French embassy will do the evaluation. So the French side will do the evaluation. So once the evaluation has been done and the shortlisted projects will be announced, and once it has been announced, the researchers from USM can actually contact RCMO. So they will actually guide you with the short term or the matching grant. Okay, but I think during our discussion with I think the top management of RNI, USM. So the matching grant from USM is actually awarded through short-term grant, and it is actually for 2 years. And the shilling is actually for 2 years is 30,000. So meaning that for each year it is 15,000. I think the compulsory vote that can be located is only vote 11. Vote 27 and vote 29. So it's on paying GRA, buying consumables, and then servicing 29. Yeah, so 3 votes. So output, 1 publication in Q1, Q2. Yeah. Prof.
Because this matching grant is new, I think. Okay, how to start? Whether we must have some existing collaborations with France, through this, whatever the Co-tutelle, whatever it is, or what? Meaning to say that what should be the initial where USM will give this 30,000 matching grant? What, yeah, you understand what I mean? Whether we must have the program first, we must have the student first, we must have the whatever the grant from France first, then only USM will give. Which one should come first?
Right. So I guess to answer Prof. Latif's question, I think the experience with PAC and also match grant, they actually encourage a new collaboration. So that is actually the purpose of doing matching grant, is to actually help the researcher who wanted to start collaboration with France. But there's no harm if, let's say, that you already have a collaboration with, I think, France or with UL first, and then you can actually propose some projects, because we still evidence like existing collaboration. For example, from Prof. Dato' Rahman, he already have established collaboration with the counterpart and still managed to obtain the grant. But I guess the others like Dr. Sumia and I think Prof. Zainuria, previously they just started the collaboration. And it happens that their proposals are good and being considered for this matching grant. So I guess maybe to answer your question, it can be both. If you just started the collaboration, there's no harm. Maybe you just need to find out, I think, a potential researchers or collaborators over there, and then you can work on the proposal, or you still can, I think, engage with your previous counterparts and work on the proposal as well. Yeah. The question?
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazwan. Okay, so we have another question shared by Dr. Nofaiza Muhammad Sani, who asked, do we need to find the collaborator ourselves? So yes, we do. We need to initiate the collaboration and have preliminary discussions on the type of proposal that we would agree to apply together, and would be given pardon, what do you say? Not opportunity. Must be the proactive initiative must be taken by the collaborator, the French collaborator.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more? So just a reminder, please fill in the Google form shared in the chat box for your CPD points. Okay, attendance will be taken also from here. Maybe Dr. Azmi, would you like to share anything? No?
Yeah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, as a part of USM-UL Center, we are very encouraged the researcher to apply the MyTiger. It's a good initiative by the French Embassy itself, Campus France, and also MFEC. And we have a good record with the French counterpart, because for the first PhD, we already get 4 among the 8. And second cycles, we have 2. The mesh itself is very successful. Now we have MyTiger. It's another initiative. And we hope everybody are working proactively to have the discussion with the French teams. And for the assistant for the French Embassy, we are very happy. For this year, we have 2 mobility programs. One's staff academic attachments, and the last one is for the master programs by our own students. Okay, so I hope so. Everybody are working for it. We are in USM-UL Center are happy to assist everybody regarding this matter. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, before we end this session, first of all, we'd like to extend our utmost appreciation to everyone who has spared their valuable time to come and attend this talk physically. Oh, and also for those who attend online. But before we end this formally, we would like to invite Professor Dr. Nora Fidah, Professor Dr. Afidah, to come forward and present a token of appreciation to Miss Alice Monnier, our special guest for today's talk. Miss Alice Monnier is the representative of the French Embassy and also Campus France. And she's also the Deputy Director of the MFUC. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, Ms. Monnier. Thank you very much again to everyone, to the host, Dr. Tuti Katrina binti Abdullah, on behalf of the School of Material and Mineral Engineering for being the host. Thank you also to the School of Civil Engineering. Thank you to USM-UL Center. Thank you to MFUC and Campus France, and also to the technical team for providing assistance throughout the talk. Okay, we hope again that everyone has benefited well from today's session, and we certainly hope that you will take this opportunity. Okay, so with that, okay, we would like to end this session. Okay, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you again, everyone.